Hello and welcome to the next video in the my series, which is my Russian tanks. I currently have 3 Russian tanks. I was never really going to get any Russian tanks for my garage, but World of Tanks released an op to win this tank here, which is the Honor T28E. I think it was called the For Honor op. I thought I'd give it a crack and got this tank and really loved it. I was very glad I went through with the op, and that inspired me to get a couple of other Russian tanks. They are the very obvious choices for Russian tank drivers, I guess. I got the T34 and the KV1, but we'll get to those. But yeah, I do only have the 3 tanks. Basically kept the Honor to for a bit of fun and to train up the Russian crew of those 2 tanks. The Honor T28E obviously is a premium tank, a bit slow and ponderous, very cool looking tank in my opinion. Has a fantastic gun on it, not tremendous penetration, but really good damage from memory, but we'll have a quick look at that, the 85mm. Yeah, quite a fun tank to drive, and I'd have to say, actually, out of all the premium tanks that I did get for free, this would be one that I would consider actually purchasing if it was cheap enough. You can see there the damage is quite good, 120 to 200. Penetration not too bad. I do tend to run with a little bit of all the different ammunition types for obvious reasons. But yeah, it is a very fun tank to use, and quite different, especially from the tanks that I usually drive, which are the German tanks. It does play up to tier 6. It is a tier 4 tank, and it actually goes pretty well in all those tiers. I usually play tier 5, so the reason being that I find it to be a really good mix of tanks. But yeah, this tank's actually quite enjoyable to use at all tiers, which is reasonably rare for a tank in World of Tanks. Yeah, it can really perform a lot of different roles, so yeah, quite a great tank. And the first and obvious choice I worked my way towards with the Russian tanks was the T34. I figured if I'm going to have a Russian tank, I've got to have a T34. Definitely one of the tanks I love destroying as a German tank driver, but it's also fun to use. It is a classic tank and has a very iconic look to it, and of course, yeah, great history from the war. And I really love this camo on it. I use the faster firing gun, which is the 57mm. Still yet to really try the 76mm, but the way I sort of use the tank, I prefer the faster firing gun. Carry a bit of a mix of ammunition. I find the premium ammunition on this is very handy. You can see there its minimum penetration really is 142, which is more as the top penetration as armor piercing. So yeah, I have found it to be a lot better with the premium ammo. And at 2800 a shell, it's not too bad. But yeah, it also doesn't go too badly with the normal armor piercing if you're fighting at its tier, which is tier 5. It does play up to tier 7. At the higher tiers, I think it's very much outmatched. But at tier 5, it's quite a fun tank to use, and the other tanks you'll be coming up against, yeah, it's quite an even match for. After the T34, the other tank I got was the KV1. Again, I figured I might as well have a KV1 if I'm going to play some Russian tanks. Again, it's another very iconic tank. I think it looks pretty cool too. Don't have any camos for this one, so I don't tend to use it too much. But yeah, it's not a bad tank to drive, and I enjoy driving these Russian tanks because I like to know how my enemy is feeling and going to behave, and to know its weak points. So it's actually quite good to drive the enemy tanks to understand them a little bit more. I do use the 122mm gun in this. I guess you could call that a derp gun. There are some other choices which were good, but yeah, I prefer the firepower of the larger gun. As you can see there, it does quite a bit of damage and carries quite a bit of ammo, which is good. The premium rounds are, yeah, are fantastic. It's a real danger on the battlefield to the enemy. Yeah, quite a good tank to drive. A bit slow and as you'd expect, but nice armour and a good gun on it. So yeah, quite enjoyable. And again, tier 5, which is the tier that I enjoy to play. It does play up to tier 7, where it does get outmatched quite easily, but at tier 5 it's definitely a tank to look out for. So yeah, that's the 3 Russian tanks I have. Another fairly quick video, as I don't have a lot of Russian tanks. Mostly just hopping them now and then for a bit of fun, something different, and using the Honor to train up the 2 crews. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll check out my last my tank video, which will be the American tanks that I own. I do have a few more of those, so it'll be a slightly longer video, and I hope there'll be something interesting in that for you. I hope this video was enjoyable, and I hope you'll yeah, check out some of the other videos on my channel. Thanks for watching.